Hello, everyone. My name is Reverend Doug McCusker. I use he, his, him pronouns, and I am the minister serving the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg. Welcome to our new series in which we will be telling stories about Unitarian Universalism based on the book A Lamp in Every Corner by Janine Grossmeyer. Each week, we will have a different person tell a story based on a chapter in this book. And so today, and for the next 7 weeks, we will be talking about Unitarian Universalist history in storytelling. Our very first story is titled The Edict of Torda, 1568. A Unitarian King. Long ago, far across the sea in the country of Poland, a land of windswept plains and great flowing rivers, there lived a king named King Sigismund and a queen named Queen Bona. They had a daughter whose name was Princess Isabella. As Isabella grew, the king and the queen taught her to be a good and wise ruler over all the people in the land. When Princess Isabella was grown, a king from a neighboring country asked for her hand in marriage, and her parents said yes. Isabella was excited to be marrying King John of Hungary until she realized that she would have to leave home. "I shall miss you, mother," Isabella said, suddenly wishing that she did not have to go. "And I shall miss you," her mother replied. "But some of your friends are going with you, and if you ever have a need, I will send my good friend, Dr. Biandrada, to you. He will watch over you if you are ill, and he will give you counsel when you are well." Her father kissed her on the forehead, and her mother kissed her on the cheek, saying, "Go with God, my daughter, and be a good wife to your new husband and a wise queen of your new land, as we have taught you to be." And so, with her parents' blessing and her friends by her side, Isabella set out with a glad heart and a strong will, determined to be a good wife to her husband and a wise queen to her new land. The wedding was glorious, and Princess Isabella of Poland became Queen Isabella of Hungary. And soon Isabella had another title, for she gave birth to a little boy, and she became a mother as well as a queen. They named the little boy John Sigismund, after his father, King John of Hungary, and after his grandfather, King Sigismund of Poland. Isabella wanted to be a wise and good queen, and to help all the people. But the land of Hungary was torn by great wars. The king fought with other kings. The nobles fought with each other. This group of people fought with that group of people, and those people fought with other people. Everywhere people complained about taxes. They argued about religion, and they fought about land. Sometimes they fought about simply getting enough to eat. They fought and they fought and they fought, and many people died. Isabella's husband was away fighting when their baby was born. "Come home," she wrote to him. "Come home and see your son." But King John became sick and died when their baby was only 2 weeks old, and he never saw his son. The nobles elected the baby prince as their new king and cried, "All hail King John Sigismund of Hungary." But young King John was much too young to rule a country torn by war. Other kings from other countries took most of Hungary away from John and kept it for themselves. Isabella and young John ended up living in a small eastern corner of the kingdom, a place beyond the forests, a grassy plain surrounded by high mountains and watered by quick, rushing streams, a land called Transylvania. And there, in the only corner of the kingdom that was left to them, Isabella lived with her son, John, and with her mother's friend, Dr. Biandrata. As John grew, Isabella and Dr. Biandrata taught him, as Isabella's parents had taught her, to be a good and wise ruler over all the people in the land. But the wars didn't stop while John was growing up. The people were still fighting, sometimes with other countries, sometimes with each other. They still complained about taxes, and they still argued about religion. Different people followed different religions in Transylvania, and none of them seemed to get along. The Catholics were arguing with the Lutherans were arguing with the Greek Orthodox were arguing with the Calvinists were arguing with the Catholics. It just went on and on and on. In 1557, Queen Isabella issued a new law in the name of her son, the king. The law said that people could talk about and discuss religion, but they must not argue, and certainly never fight about religion anymore. 2 years later, Isabella died. John was 19. Now he had to rule by himself. He wanted to be a wise and good king and to help all the people, just as his mother had tried to do. But the people were still arguing about religion. What should we do? Young King John asked one of his advisors, a gray-bearded old noble with a cane. How can we stop the fighting? One king, one country, the advisor declared, stomping his cane on the ground. Just as they do in France and Spain. One king, one country, one religion. We must choose one religion for Transylvania. Everyone will follow it, and then we will have no more fighting. King John didn't think that would work, but something obviously had to be done. Talking was better than arguing, and so, as his mother and Dr. Biandrata had suggested, King John invited preachers from different religions to come to his court and talk about religion. And they came. Dr. Biandrata invited his friend Francis David, and he came. The preachers talked and talked and talked and talked. Sometimes they gave up talking to argue with each other, and sometimes they argued so much that King John was afraid that they would give up arguing to start fighting, maybe even with swords. But the talks went on, day after day, and no one was hurt. One man talked very well, and he convinced people in every discussion that he had. That man was Francis David, Dr. Biandrata's friend. Nowadays, we would call Francis David's religion Unitarianism, because he said that God was one being instead of three. He said God was a unity, not a trinity. King John decided he liked Francis David, and he liked the religion. He decided to become a Unitarian, and in the year 1569, he did. One king, one country, one religion, the old noble had said. But we need not think alike to love alike, Francis David said, and King John agreed. He wanted to be a good and wise ruler over all the people in the land. And at a meeting in the town of Torda, he issued the Edict of Torda, a special law. The law said that no one shall be reviled for their religion by anyone. And he allowed the people of Transylvania to choose the religion they thought was best for them. On the 14th of January, 1571, King John Sigismund, the first and only Unitarian king in history, declared that Unitarianism was one of the official religions of the realm in Transylvania, and that people could worship as they chose. And even today, in that place beyond the forests called Transylvania, which is now part of the country of Romania, there are Unitarian churches, the oldest Unitarian churches in the world. Unitarians have lived there for over 400 years, and Unitarians live there still. Thank you very much for listening to this story. And until next week, have a great